Rotterdam 6 Day, live on 6dayracing.com. Sponsored by Tux, Giant, and Island 200.
The 2014 6 Days of Rotterdam was opened by Pieter Schep, and there was immediately controversy, as the win in the first Madison went to Marvoli and Margay, even though they didn't seem to get a lap. The jury thought otherwise. The big chase at the end of the night was really hard work. And in fact, it was the Danes Morkov and Rasmussen who had the greater turn of speed, although throughout the day, Terpstra and Kaiser had ensured that they would go into the overnight as leaders. But if defending champions Kaiser and Terpstra thought they were going to have it easy, the Belgians of De Ketelaere and De Burst had different ideas. In the elimination race, it came down to a scrap between the two teams, and Ilio Kaiser was outclassed by Jasper De Burst, only 20 years of age. In the Derny, it was a similar story. Jasper De Burst, being piloted by Ron Zeilert, was in a ding-dong battle with the Dane Rasmussen. In the end, victory went to Zeilert and De Burst. As always, the big chase is the deciding race of the day. The Belgians had taken the fight all the way to the defending champions, but they weren't going to give up their first place overnight without a fight. In fact, Nicky Terpstra and Ilio Kaiser went for what's called the doublet. They took 2 laps in one go, but it wasn't enough to hold back the Belgians of De Ketelaere and De Burst. In fact, they even won the sprint as well in the end. They went in overnight leaders. Day 3's opening Madison was a chance for the smaller teams, or the lower ranked teams, to shine. And in the end, the victory went to Harvick and Stoppler, even though the sprint went to Barry Marcus. In the team time trial, there was a magnificent win for Margay and Marvoli. They took the track record away from Theo Bos, 21.258 clocked. Magnificent riding. And the Derny racing was becoming more and more important, with so many points on offer. A terrific move by Walter Huybrechts, pacing Michael Morkov, took him miles away from the rest and to a stunning victory. And so once again to the big chase. It was nip and tuck, as they say in English. One team tried to take a lap after another. De Ketelaere and De Burst shadowed Kaiser and Terpstra all the way. Every time there was an attack, they went with them. In the end, they both tried to take one lap, but unfortunately the Belgians sat up too early. And there was only one team that managed to do so, and they took the victory, and that meant overnight leading as well for Terpstra and Kaiser. In the opening race of day 4, the small chase, it was a chance for some of the lesser ranked teams to shine, as it was very tight at the top for the top 4. In fact, it was the team of Mark Hester and Vivian Brice, the World Madison champion, who went for the victory. Mark Hester is so incredibly quick, over 150 to 200 metres, it was almost impossible for the other teams to stay with him. And nice to see a Madison win for a World Madison Champions team. In the big chase at the end of the evening, it was all down to who had enough energy left. It's absolutely vital to get as many laps as you can. Here, it looked like the team of Vlasman, with Maris and Sturtinger trying to get away and do something. And in fact, that's exactly what they did. They got a lap early on and put themselves back in contention. Kaiser and Terpstra tried to do a doublet again, but they failed. This time, they had too much energy expended on the track. It wasn't to be for them. Sturtinger took the win, putting his team back in contention, but De Ketelaere and De Burst took over the lead. Day 5, some teams were getting tired and some teams were improving. Marcel Kautz and Robert Bartko really attacking right the way through the opening Madison. But as it came down to the sprint for the end, it was Theo Bos and Graham Brown who took the victory. They'd suffered like dogs on the first day, now they had a win. In the elimination race, there was some controversy. Ilio Kaiser was given out in the last 3, but he wasn't happy. And when you look at the replay, you can see why. He was clearly in. They then reran the sprint. In fact, it didn't make any difference for Sturtinger in the end. It came down to Kaiser against Alex Rasmussen. And a bit of shoulders from the Dane made sure that he won and went through. His team were getting closer to the top. The first Derny race of day 5 proved the most spectacular of the entire event. Ron Zeilert taking Kenny de Ketelaere at top speed around the outside of everybody because he was chasing Walter Huybrechts and Michael Morkov, who'd shot off into the distance. But in the end it didn't make any difference because Michel Vaten took Nicky Terpstra high and at huge speed past the other two. Just look at the anger on the Derny pace riders' faces. A win for Terpstra and Kaiser, an absolutely vital one as well. In the second Derny pace race, Zeilert wasn't going to let that happen again. He kept a close eye on Michel Vaten. When it came down to it, it was all about who had more courage than the other. Throwing the bike at the line, it was Jasper de Burst. In the big chase Madison at the end of the night, all the big teams tried to get lap after lap after lap. Michael Morkov here going on the attack. Ilio Kaiser responding, making sure the Danes couldn't get away. And of course the third team in this fight, Kenny de Ketelaere and Jasper de Burst, had to respond each time any of the other two took a lap. And they really fought it out at the end, but it was Alex Rasmussen on the best form of the competition who took the victory. The Danes were coming very, very close. 4 teams went into the final day of the 6 days of Rotterdam with a chance of taking overall victory. First, Jens Maurits and Wim Strottinger. They were on 185 points and a lap down. Michael Morkov and Alex Rasmussen, 292 and still a lap down. Nicky Terpstra and Ilio Kaiser on 295 with 1 lap to make up on the overnight leaders. And Kenny de Ketelaere and Jasper de Burst went into the final day as the overall leaders on 308 points, but a lap ahead. And so into the final event of this 6 days of Rotterdam, a 250 lap Madison with sprints in it as well. And the top 4 teams were on the same lap. Time and again, Kaiser and Terpstra tried to get away, had to do it all by themselves, where their 3 rivals worked together. It could have been that Kaiser and Terpstra left all their energy on the track. They did it again and again and again, and when it came down to the sprints, it looked like the Danes who had some advantage, getting faster and faster. It still looked like it might come down to a victory on points alone with 4 teams on the same lap, but Nicky Terpstra and Ilio Kaiser had other ideas. Terpstra shot off the front. Ilio Kaiser was waiting to be picked up, and they rode into the distance. They rode so fast that nobody could catch them, and they gained a lap, using every inch of the track to their advantage. Look at the victory salute of Ilio Kaiser as he comes over the line with just 9 laps to go. They knew they had won and retained their title. There was no room to come back.
Ilio Kaiser and Nicky Terpstra, congratulations. Was it best go for the lap? Was that the best way to win, Ilio?
Yeah, the last 2 days we were a little bit behind with the points, and whatever we did, we didn't really come close. So our tactic was to go for a late attack in the final, all or nothing, and yeah, it worked out really well. So we're very happy with this win.
Nicky, just how hard were these last 6 days?
Especially the final was really hard, but the crowd was magnificent today. So thanks for that, and I'm really happy.
Exactly, Ilio. Just how important was the crowd support this week?
Yeah, I'm really sensitive for the crowd, for their reactions. I also do everything I can to, even though it's very hard to entertain the crowd. And then when they react, when they give their full support, it gives me wings. And I think it's the same for Nicky. When you have the support of the crowd, you can do always a little bit more.
Nicky, how prestigious is it to come back and repeat in the Rotterdam 6-day?
Yeah, I really wanted to defend my title, and of course I'm happy we did it. And now Ilio had won 4 times, me 2 times, and we're both really satisfied.
We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the 2014 6 days of Rotterdam. It's been great racing, and it's been a pleasure to entertain you. We hope you'll join us again next year. From me, David Harmon, and my co-commentators, Tony Doyle and Michel Cornelissen, we'll see you next year. Bye for now.